I'm going to speak about Macedonia as an example of social dystopia, right? Since the breakup of Yugoslavia, Macedonia, striving for European integration, had to make reforms to satisfy the neoliberal European market, and we did. Since then, we constantly find each other on the very social bottom of Europe. For Macedonia, the period of transition from one institutional system to another, besides being a traumatic experience, led to establishment of new institutions and a new division of power. In recent history, Macedonia made a clear cut with all traditions of redistribution and rights like labor, educational, social, etc., that are essential for protection of workers and common people, got drastically reduced. Therefore, the question who won and who lost in terms of financial and political power has been one of the most discussed questions. However, the problem of this debate in the Macedonian mainstream is that the main argumentation is based simply on party allegations instead of serious analysis of the structural position of the Macedonian economy. Even so, at present times, Macedonia has a problem of how to place itself in the neoliberal European market. This small and weak state has to open its borders and prepare for foreign competition by making the environment investment friendly, right? And the campaign Invest in Macedonia, for example, is sponsoring CNN TV show, I don't know if you have seen it, Quest means business. And we all know what this means. Blandishing to big investors is not an abstract idea. It's not that we only have to be polite to investors so they will come and invest in our country. For big business, we have to reduce workers' rights, we have to reduce social transfers to minimum, reduce taxes and eradicate all administrative barriers for foreign companies, even give benefits to most of them. And this ideology took deep roots. However, the idea of capitalistic utopia took a different path, a path of social aggressions with elements of dystopia. Now Macedonia is partially integrated in the market structure called the EU, with no chances of mobility for workers, and with no chances for solidarity from the rich national states that have the best position in this unfairly structured economy. Consequently, Macedonia is the most class-differentiated society in Europe, while regressing on all scales that measure democracy and freedom. But let's start from the beginning. Concerning social regression, the impoverishment of the Republic of Macedonia cannot be located only in the years of the crisis, of the economic crisis. The privatization, suppression of workers' rights, and reduction of all mechanisms of redistribution made a constellation 10% of the richest people to own more than the 90% of the rest. Unfortunately, the tendency is showing that instead of reducing, these differences are getting bigger. Flexibility of labor, for example, which is a major condition for foreign investment, allowed only higher profits for big companies while wages and productivity remain at a low level. Flexibility of labor means that workers are the ones to make compromises most of the time, not the business, and as a result, the constitution of labor relations, law on labor, had to be adjusted almost every time when a bigger investment was notified. The biggest changes included drastic reduction to rights of workers that were defined as redundant during the privatization period. The privilege of the employers to discharge workers without a notice period is now introduced. The right to strike is significantly impeded. The legally guaranteed vacation period is decreased, of course. Now the workers are obliged to work whatever the boss tells them to, even if that is not in line with their job description, education, or skills. And the period of part-time work before permanent employment is extended from 1 to 5 years, etc., etc. The same goes for social rights, especially for social assistance. The social support in recent years has been reduced to 40%, and not just from the total amount of the household, but also of the amount that the state gives for support. Moreover, in 2008 and 2011, new amendments on the law of contribution for mandatory social insurance were established. With them, the maximum basis for calculation and payment of contribution is the amount of 6 average gross salaries. This is really important. This means that the few people who take the highest salaries have the privilege to pay contribution only to a small portion of their income, which means to 6 average gross salaries. The rest is not taxed, which automatically reduces the financial transfers to the common social budget. On top of this, the main taxes for filling out the central budget, the value-added tax, and personal income tax are flat and low. The value-added tax is 18%, and the personal income tax is 10%. This means that poor people pay more to the central budget than the rich, and if they pay more, at least they should expect more. But no, in 2012, the government, in accordance with the Chamber of Commerce, decided that the minimum salary per month should be set at 130 euros, while the biggest reported salary is constantly increasing. In 2008, the biggest gross salary was 20,300 euros. And in 2011, imagine this, unbelievable, 92,300 euros per month, the biggest salary, which is enormous difference. But what can you expect from a country that has 30% of unemployment rate, with 55% of youth unemployment and 24.6% of children living in families with parents that don't work. A country where the margins of relative poverty, of people who earn but not enough to get involved in the social, cultural and economic life, is 30% and is getting bigger. And a country where the absolute poverty, or people who earn less than $2 per day and have no basic condition, is 14.7%. And this percent has been increased. In 2008, this percent was 7%, and now in 2012 is 14%, double. As a main result of these policies, the data from the World Bank shows that Macedonia is the most class-differentiated society in Europe and former SSSR republics, with Gini index of 43.6. Just as a Balkan comparison, Gini index in Croatia is 33.7, in Serbia is 29.6, in Albania is 34.5, even in Bosnia, where we have social unrest motivated by class differences, the Gini index is 36.2. Therefore, the Macedonian plutocracy has accumulated so much power over the public domain that people hear only their message, especially through the medias. And their messages are always in form of nationalism to gain votes and depolitization to disregard criticism. Besides that, the conservative government is replacing the abolished social and democratic gains with ad hoc populist measures, which are not sustainable in the long run, but are part of the charity public profile that the authoritarian prime minister is trying to build. Like he's working for the people and stuff. That is why maybe the only thing we got left is a big bang, a small revolution, and because the position of the Macedonian economy, whether from inside or from outside, creates inequalities that produce devastating consequences on living standards and individual well-being, besides poor working conditions. People living in this territory struggle with bad diet, bad social and health protection, which increases the rate of illness, suicide, imprisoned people and stuff, and decreases life expectancy, educational performances, etc. And it is not coincidence that in search for better life, 230,000, mostly young and educated people, emigrated from Macedonia between the years 2008 and 2012. And hopefully, one day I will be one of them. Yeah, that's it. I was going back.